What's up? What's happening? What is going on, Cantaloupes? Honestly, at this point in my life, is there really much conversation going on about the greatness of other athletes in my everyday life? No. I mean, I'm not really going around talking about how maybe Joe Montana is better than Tom Brady. It's just not what really comes up in my conversation anymore. Used to do it, but honestly, a lot of people still do, and that's totally okay. But a lot of times, I just spit. I wonder if you could have seen that. A lot of times the arguments are really flawed because a lot of times it just comes down to rings. And that's an issue because championships do not tell the whole story. These are 10 reasons why we shouldn't just rely on rings. First reason is because it shows ignorance. There's no way to stop a conversation, an argument, faster than just saying, oh, well, he has more rings. Let's stop talking about the stats. Let's stop talking about the teams they were on. Let's stop talking about the era they played in. No, they had more rings, so they're better. There's no way other than to say they have more rings to show me that you don't know what you're talking about. They're not always earned. Okay, so this maybe discredits winning a championship, and maybe it's not fair. I actually think it probably isn't fair, but I'm going to say it anyway. Something like Super Bowl 49, where yes, the Patriots fought hard to be in the Super Bowl, and yes, they fought hard to be in that game till the very end of that game. Ultimately came down to a stupid mistake by another team. They had really no control over winning that Super Bowl, at least in the final moments of the game, except Malcolm Butler made a good play, so I also am discrediting myself in the process. But hey, I'm just having a nice little argument with myself. If you look at something like 2013, it was the Spurs versus the Heat, right? And the Spurs are known for just being, well, the Spurs, but they uncharacteristically blew it in Game 6 and Game 7. Now, does that mean that the Heat didn't deserve to win that championship back in 2013? No. But kind of. Rings don't define a legacy. Okay, the easiest one to point out is somebody like Eli Manning versus Dan Marino. Are you really going to say that Eli Manning, because he's won 2 Super Bowls, 2 miraculous Super Bowls, is better than Dan Marino because Dan Marino never won a ring? Poor Dan Marino. The man was one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, yet his legacy is sadly defined by the fact that he never won a championship. And is that right? I don't think so, because there's so much more. Even somebody like Barry Sanders, literally the greatest athlete of all time, never won a championship with the Lions. So is he not the greatest athlete of all time? They don't tell the whole story. Look at somebody like Robert Horry. He's averaged 7 points per game in his career, but he also has 7 championship rings. Okay, he was a good player, but he just so happened to continuously play on great teams. Does Robert Horry even remotely make the conversation of the GOATs in basketball history? No. Should he? No. Because his 7 rings don't tell the whole story of who he was as a player. Yes, he was good. No. Just because he won 7 rings doesn't make him the greatest of all time. More rings in more time. Take a look at somebody like Joe Montana, who won his 4 Super Bowl rings in a span of 9 years, as opposed to somebody like Tom Brady, okay, who had 3 and 4. So he won a lot quickly, but now in 17 seasons, he's won his 5th ring. That's how long it took. It took 17 seasons to win 5, as opposed to 9 for Joe Montana. Joe Montana was also hurt for a lot of his career. Well, a lot more hurt than Tom Brady. Tom Brady has only missed 1 season. Joe Cool probably could have had 5 or 6 if he stayed healthy, especially later in his career. So you can't just go say, okay, Tom Brady has 5, Joe Montana has 4. Tom Brady's better. Because there's a lot of time, there's a lot of injury, there's time on the field that plays into all of that. different eras. Okay, this might be the biggest one. The Montreal Canadiens have won the most Stanley Cups because, well, they won a lot when there were only 6 teams in the entire league. The Yankees won a lot of World Series because, well, there weren't that many MLB teams, but also they just spend, and that was the era that they were allowed to spend in. This is still kind of the era they're still allowed to spend in. But when you have that unfair advantage of being an earlier onset of the league team, you have the chance to win more rings. If you're in an era that plays by what your team's strengths are, you're going to win more championships. Luck. There's always a little bit of luck that goes into all of this. And of course, again, as I have with all of these things, I could bring up the Patriots, the Tuck rule, Super Bowl 49, whatever. There have been a couple things that have made their championships maybe a bit lucky. Now take a look at somebody like LeBron. If D Rose didn't hurt his knee, would he have won that first ring? I don't think so. And is that luck? Oh, that's bad luck for D Rose. But yeah, there are so many instances that go into winning a ring. And luck's one of them. It's a flawed logic. Okay, I know people do this. Literally base a player off of how many rings they won. If you were to use that as your only criteria, let's take a look at some of the things. Troy Aikman would be better than Peyton Manning. Ron Harper would be better than LeBron James. Aaron Ward would be better than Bobby Orr. And Pablo Sandoval will be better than Ken Griffey Jr. There are probably a lot worse examples than that also. But yeah, you see, you can't do it. Supporting casts. As you know, somebody like Aaron Rodgers consistently has a supporting cast that lets him down. There are a lot of people on a team. And Aaron Rodgers might be able to do it all. And if he had a team like the Patriots, maybe he would have won 5 already. Maybe if he had a team like the Steelers, he would have won 5 already. But his team continuously lets him down. So are we going to hurt his legacy because of his team? Somebody like Kobe, who was, of course, one of the greatest of all times. He had Shaq. He had Pau Gasol. He had big men to complement his game. He constantly had a great supporting cast. Now, should that discredit him? No, but it did make it easier for him to win a couple of those rings. Finally, it's a team effort. The NFL has a 53-man roster. The MLB has a 25-man active roster. The NBA has, what, a 14-man active roster? And the NHL has a 23-man active roster. This is not one. It's not one singular player. It's a team effort. You can't put it all on rings. Look at a player's actual full resume. That's all I have to say. What do you think about the topic? Let me know in the comments down below. I don't have any rings. Actually, did I win a championship? I think I won a championship in Little League. Proudest moment. Until next time, I'm Mike Cantalupo. Thanks for watching.